Hello. I want to thank Virginia for doing the overview on the forest plan revision, and she mentioned a few things about Hyalite. And I'd like to go ahead and share my screen here and give you some more details on what's going on in Hyalite. All right, I'm going to give, first of all, kind of an introduction to the Friends of Hyalite. Some people may be familiar with our organization, but some may not. We're a nonprofit organization. We consist primarily of a board of directors, all volunteers, there's no pay involved. And the Friends of Hyalite was originally started back in 2010 by the ice climbers. They were concerned about the ability to access the ice climbing resources up at the end of the canyon. And it was started to raise money to keep the road plowed through the wintertime. Friends of Hyalite raises money and contributes an average of $13,000 per year towards road plowing. And this keeps the area open for people, not just ice climbing, but it also gives opportunities for cross-country skiing, backcountry skiing, ice fishing, even things like ice hockey, fat biking, snowmobiling, and so forth. They're all able to do that, what they do, because of the road plowing that we do, that we fund. After a while, Friends of Hyalite began to expand their role and partnership with the Forest Service, and we began becoming more involved in some of the other stewardship activities. One of the things that Friends of Hyalite does is we have spring and fall cleanup days. We invite the public to come up and help clean up some of the trash and debris from fires and so forth that accumulate during the winter and over the summertime. It cleans up tons of trash that have been removed from the forest in the last 10 years. And it provides an experience not only for people to be involved in giving back to Hyalite, but also encourages people to really enjoy and experience more of what Hyalite has to offer. One of the things that we've been involved with in partnership with the Forest Service is removing old fencing. There was a grazing allotment in Hyalite for many, many years, and that was retired. And there was barbed wire fence that was left behind from the grazing allotment. And we've had summertime crews go up and remove some of the old barbed wire fence. And this makes Hyalite a safer place for people and also for the pets. We've seen like dog collars caught in the fence and so forth. Excuse me. And also wildlife, because the fence has the ability to catch deer and so forth and snag them. So this is a really important project that we're involved with. Friends of Hyalite has also been able to raise money for improvements. We've done things such as installing larger pallet-sized fire grates in some of the areas so that people who go up there and burn pallets have a place to do it suitably. We also raised money for new picnic tables, and one of our projects is raising money for the Hyalite Steward. The Hyalite Steward is a Forest Service employee who stays up in Hyalite in the summertime and helps to supervise what's going on up there and help visitors have a more enjoyable experience in Hyalite. Friends of Hyalite is also involved in educating the public about what's going on in Hyalite. One of the most important things that Virginia mentioned was that Hyalite is a major source of water for the city of Bozeman, and that we need to protect the resources to keep the water clean. We do social media updates. We have a Facebook page. We have a website. We also do interviews on TV and newspaper, keep people up to date on what's going on up in Hyalite. Another thing that we do is we have recreation maps that we sell for both summer and winter. so that people can learn more about the activities and resources that are available in Hyalite. One of the other things that we've become involved with is what we call traffic counters, or vehicle traffic counters. Friends of Hyalite purchased and maintains vehicle counters. They sit by the side of the road, and as a vehicle goes by, it ticks and records that vehicle going by. It provides accurate data on the number of people actually using Hyalite. And this is information that we collect and then give to the Forest Service, to the district ranger, so he has accurate numbers every month of how many people are going up Hyalite. For example, in 2019, the total number of vehicles was over 150,000 in that year, but it increased in 2020 to over 190,000. And so what we're seeing is an increase in vehicle traffic. And specifically, I want to bring your attention to the increase in 2020 over 2019. The blue line is 2019 number of vehicles. In 2020, you can see the second half of 2020, there was a significant increase in traffic of Hyalite. And so we figured that these are people who were trying to get out from their quarantine situations. They want to get out and exercise and enjoy the resources up in Hyalite. The Gallatin Valley is also increasing population. Part of the pandemic has made it so that a lot of people work from home, and they can move to places like Bozeman and still keep their jobs, even though they originally were from California or the East Coast. So we're seeing a lot more people out there in Hyalite. We're seeing people up on the tops of the peaks. If you go up on top of Mount Blackmore in July, you'll see a scene like this with people all over the place up on the top of the peak. It used to be years ago, you'd go up to the top of Mount Blackmore and be the only person there, but not so anymore. And in the wintertime, there are what we call backcountry moguls. Places like History Rock and Lick Creek see a lot of people who ski up, and then in the open areas they'll ski down, and it creates moguls just like in a ski area. So that's showing you that there's a lot of use in these areas, both in the summer and the wintertime. Another thing that we're seeing is that there's more demand for trails. In particular, we hear from mountain bikers who are complaining that there's not enough trails available. But we also hear similar complaints from other groups like the snowmobilers and other motorized users. As an offshoot of that, one of the things that happens is that some of these users create their own trails. The mountain bikers create unauthorized trails with jumps and ramps in places where it's supposed to be a quiet area, and yet they're going ahead and building these trails, and it's not exactly what the forest plan is recommending for that area. Another thing that we see up in Hyalite are transient camps. This picture shows the Friends of Hyalite on one of our volunteer nights cleaning up a transient camp that we found up Hyalite last summer. There was a huge pile of trash that was left behind by the transients, and we collected all the trash and hauled it out to the road so that it could be collected. But this is a sign of people who are unable to find places to live in Bozeman, and they seek refuge by going up and camping out for months at a time up in Hyalite. And this is not exactly an allowed use. It's not something that's included in the forest plan, but it's something that's happening that we need to be aware of. Another one of the big problems that we see up Hyalite are pallet fires. Especially in the wintertime, people will go up Hyalite and build fires with pallets and have a big party and drink a bunch of beer or whatever they do. Now, sometimes they'll be so incapacitated when they leave that the fires are still burning when they leave, and someone might come up the next day and find the smoldering embers of the fire still going. But the biggest problem with the pallet fires are the nails. There's literally hundreds of nails that are in each pallet, And when they're burned, these nails are just littered all over the ground. And if it's an area like, and you can see in this picture, that's a driveway into the Langer campground where this pallet fire was. And the young man there has a magnet. And if you look very carefully, you can see there's a bunch of nails that have been brought up by the magnet, attached to the magnet that we're using to clean up those nails. They also create a damage to the pavement in the parking lots. So we're seeing that there's an increase of people using Hyalite, and the demand for recreational resources is growing as the population grows, and the impact is just growing at an alarming rate of Hyalite. This picture shows the day use area, the reservoir. You can see the beautiful peaks in the background, but you can also see that the parking lot is packed with vehicles. Again, to emphasize how important water is, Hyalite Creek and Sourdough Creek provide 80% of Bozeman's drinking water, and the demand for water is increasing as the population in the Gallatin Valley grows. Plus, the fact that you're having more people in Hyalite increases the chance for the water supply to become polluted. Hyalite is also the home for a variety of wildlife. These are mountain goats up near Mount Blackmore. And the problem is that they need a place too. They live up there. It's the home for the wildlife. But if people get too close to the wildlife, it bothers them and they will feel threatened. And it's not a good situation for the wildlife. The other thing that Virginia mentioned was the wilderness study area. At the southern end of Hyalite is part of the Hyalite Porcupine Buffalo Horn Wilderness Study Area. And this is critical habitat. People have actually seen wolverines up here, and there are other species such as whitebark pine that are dwindling because of climate change. So these are all factors that we need to be aware of as well. So the Friends of Hyalite would like to see the forest plan include a balance between conservation and recreation. We understand the value of conserving the wild character of this beautiful place that we have in our backyard, but we also know that there's a real demand for recreational opportunities. We need to see a balance between those two different needs in our forest plan.